Hello, everybody. We are here with another incredible guest speaker, Christina de Souza, and I am so very, very excited to uh, introduce her. She has a beautiful bio, and I will allude to a few of the pieces of this because they're things that I am aware of. However, seeing it in writing it, it's far easier to say it. And then I'd love to give you some of my personal experiences as well. She is the founder of the World Mastermind Cafe Inc., which is a very transformative space where thought leaders, change makers, and heart-centered entrepreneurs gather to intentionally grow their dreams. As a master neuro-linguistics practitioner and solution-focused systemic coach, Christina is dedicated to fostering an environment where powerful insights are shared, real value is created, and growth happens intentionally. Uh, I'm going to read it all because this other part is just as important. At the heart of this community are growth-minded professionals gathered to seed knowledge, nurture meaningful connections, cultivate progress, and harvest the collective wisdom. Through collaboration, she helps create lives we love to lead and businesses that thrive, together enriching the journey for the greater good of all. Hello, Christina. I just want to say a little blip about you from a personal standpoint. I've known Christina for about a year and a half now, and I am in awe. And I go into this really interesting energy every time I'm in her presence. Like I feel this vibration, this frequency happening, and it's because I feel that I am actually being invited just by being in her energy. Being invited to explore more deeply into the power of who I personally can be. And that's what I absolutely want to bring forward because of this whole conversation that we've been having on this entire summit is just the power that is being created by people like Christina. So hello, Christina. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to get together with other like-minded, heart-centered individuals whose calling is to serve, and that forefronts everything else. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you, Sandra.
Mm, mm. Now, there's so many places that I want to start. Uh, there is you and there's the World Mastermind Inc. It's just like there's Sandra Pelly and there's the Live Your Inner Dragon Inc. Um, can you? I want to do this in a really um a lotus blossoming kind of way. There's you who has birthed the idea of the World Mastermind Inc. So maybe let's start with you and the birthing of what was coming from you and what did you notice?
Hmm. There's there's a time in my life when I had to make some really big decisions about where my future was going to go and what I really wanted to do. And it was a time where I took the time to look back and I found these moments that were really significant. I couldn't tell you maybe how they all threaded together at that time, why they were just standalone significant moments. One of them in particular came from really much younger years. I was 18, living on a coffee plantation, and I was given the opportunity, an invitation to see something so very differently, and that was a coffee bean. Now, oh, I'm sure we've all seen a coffee bean. There's nothing too wowing about it at first glance. It's just this tiny little, insignificant, inconspicuous little thing. And he invited me to look closer. And he showed me how that little bean would take 3 years to blossom its first cherry, another three before it would have enough to harvest, that a farmer would tend to that little bean, watering it day in, day out for 6 long years before it really produced anything. And then the journey just begins. Like it's often handpicked and it's laid out to dry, and then it's roasted, and then it's processed and packaged and shipped, and it travels and it finds its way into your local grocery store or local cafe or maybe at home. And this morning, most likely, being as 3 out of 4 of us are crazy coffee drinkers in the world, and 2.25 billion cups were actually served today, you might have been part of that collective. It's so much more than a cup of coffee. And he showed me in such a beautiful way, like you said, this lotus. It was very, telling. He showed me just how many hands are involved. But what I saw in that moment was so much more. One, I thought crazy to be thinking 6 years in advance, putting something in the ground, gonna water this thing for 6 years. I was like, what? Who does that? Somebody did that. How many people had to put their brilliance together? Who designed the package? Who put that ambience of a cafe together? Who put the chairs just the way they are to find your perfect seat by the fireplace or by that window for that perfect cup that's been created and curated just for you? It really had me see just how interconnected all of us are, from the person who carted it out to the plane and loaded it, from the person who invented the grinder, from there's just time and little pieces after piece after piece. I could see this woven thread of everybody's gifts and talents coming together. And what birthed the idea was that we all have something to contribute. We all have something to share. And one of the things that I brought home from Brazil with me was this going for coffee, gathering around a table, having these deep, juicy conversations. And I noticed something very beautiful. I noticed no matter where I traveled in the world, I was always welcome in a cafe. It didn't matter what walk of life, what my status, what my bank account was. It did not matter who I was. I was welcomed into a cafe. I was welcome to take something that was so interconnected with everyone else, to take a seat and be part of a conversation. This to me gave me all the good feels. And as I progressed in my business, and I say business, my career, if you looked at my career path, you might go, oh, she's a hot mess, because I chose every horse to ride. I've been a professional Latin dancer. I've been a counselor for years and years in a volunteer capacity. I have been a coach. I have been a financial advisor. It doesn't look like it has a beautiful through line, but it does have a beautiful through line. It had all my human abilities and all my gifts coming together and being expressed in beautiful ways. And what happened is, inside those conversations, more ideas spurred, more connections were made. And pretty soon I saw these masterminds coming together, these people as a collective coming and saying, hey, I'm gifted in that way. Oh, I could give this piece or contribute this to the conversation. And pretty soon I saw everybody weaving in and everybody having a very significant role to play. And I couldn't find another environment like it.
Mm.
And that's what really birthed the having this environment that I could curate, where people would come together, they could see clearly that they were gifted, they felt like they had something to contribute. And there were some really sad truths to entrepreneurship. As a business coach, I often sit with people with really big dreams who often are contemplating putting them on back on the shelf and thinking, this is just isn't for me. I'm maybe not enough. I don't really have something authentic to offer. And when we look at statistics, now I'm not sure if it's 81 or 82, that's splitting of a hair of a, so don't hold me to it, but it's 81 or 82% of us business owners who don't make it through the first 3 years in our businesses. And it's due to imposter syndrome. And I could see so clearly that if those individuals had the courage to voice how they felt, talk about their businesses where they didn't have to be perfect, they didn't have to pretend they had it all together, and they could come and say, hey, you know where I'm struggling? And I'm sure somebody here is gifted and knows what to do and would be vulnerable enough to talk, there should be this place. So threaded together all these beautiful opportunities to mastermind, to collect, to be vulnerable, to be precious in your gifts, and really bring, people's dreams to life. And the world needs it.
I want to give so much here, so just bear with me a moment, Christina. There's a bigger picture going on here of where Christina wants to, I'm going to change the wording there. There's a bigger picture here that Christina is inviting us to entertain, to step into, to look at. And that's the collaboration of entrepreneurs. Okay. I truly believe that she is a leader in creating these spaces because I've been in these spaces where she's doing this, where she's the person who's orchestrated that. There always has to be somebody who takes a leadership role. And I say that uh, for the reason that I am currently in something where nobody seems to be taking the leadership role, and all these people have all these different gifts and no time. And I'm really recognizing how a leader to bring the people together to share their gifts is so critical. Christina has already cornered the market on doing that. I honestly believe, okay? Then from there, it's something else that she's been talking about. It's this recognizing your gifts. You'll notice she said this a lot through here. Not a lot. Enough times I heard it, but I think I'm now trained to Christina to hear that word gift. She's offering you an opportunity here in the gift giveaway, and I'm going to share her link here again too, to take part in the beginning steps to understand what your natural gifts are. We've spoken before in a couple different speakers today about purpose, about finding your gift. And believe me, I've been in groups where there's 1,000 people going, well, what's my gift? What's my gift? Right? Because they don't recognize that they already have their gift. They're looking externally for the gift. Christina has the ability through her training to help you define what that gift is. And so I know I said a whole lot there because I really wanted to understand that there's a bigger picture here. I'm going to recap this again that Christina is a leader in the industry of bringing collaboration together with people who are ready to share their gifts in a different way, in a powerful way. Okay. It's what her and I are doing. I alluded to it in the last conversation when I was the guest speaker. Okay. And she's also here to help all of us find our sacred gift. So, can you speak a little bit more to whatever part you want to draw on first there, Christina?
Well, I will humbly and thank you for putting me as an industry leader. I think that I have some interesting thoughts, and in thought leadership, I believe that some of these thoughts are maybe new to some of you, and that might be that refreshing edge of in the industry. So let me just, there's a lot of us creating a lot of space, and I love that I've been invited into sharing that space, but the lead is interesting. And that's where I'll continue with it, is because this collaborative space and the way that I see collaborations, and I think it's a little bit different than why I say I think it's different than maybe what we see a lot of is often when you come into a space that is shared, you enter through some sort of process of application. You qualify in some way. And often what we look at as society are these refined skills and talents. And because you've worked so hard for them, you take such honor in possessing them. They're beautiful. And I'm not here to discredit skills and talents. We need lots of skills and talents. But all of that requires effort on the part of learning, effort on the part of attaining. And then there's this jockeying for position that happens. And then there is the, that I'm the better of, and there's that comparison that steps in. And this creates a particular energy. And if you want to call it comparative, competition, whatever it is, we can all probably agree that there's a certain amount of suck that goes with it. It sucks to feel second place. We all want to be first, but it's a lonely place to be. Like it just sucks all around. It doesn't matter if you're the best or you fell short, but even listen to that, you fell short. Whoever wants to be in that energy? This is the energy I've experienced time and time and time again in the entrepreneurial space. And I just feel like we're going about it all wrong. Because the experience I have in what Sandra's alluded to is I am trained as a sacred gifts guide. Sacred gifts, the first time I heard that, I thought it belonged to a particular religion or, with the word sacred in there, it just sounded like that's where it would come from. And then I learned more and realized, oh my goodness, there isn't a religion, a belief on the planet that exists in time past or present that does not refer to sacred gifts in one shape or format. So if you were just triggered by the word sacred gift and want to lean in and go, oh, actually, there isn't a human being that hasn't, through history talked about this in some capacity and be able to lean in and just go, ah, human beings have sacred gifts. This invitation to see this differently, meaning that sacred gifts are something we're born with, Sandra. We do not need to go hunting for them. We might need to become aware of them. And that's a totally different, even in that, go looking for something and find that purpose out there. It feels long, daunting, and often becomes a quest and one that doesn't deliver you to that finding that purpose. When we understand that our gifts are of us and that we can become aware of them and we sit back into just the knowing without the effort, because we have them, it's like me having green eyes. I did not have to work at having green eyes today, folks. I am 5'4" all day long, whether I try or not, I just am. Our sacred gifts are very much like this. And the ones we have, they just are like my green eyes, like my 5'4" isms, like that's just me being me in the world. It is effortless for me. And I think that why sacred gifts have been hidden, or some people might refer to it as a genius zone, like the magic of the genius zone versus the talent skill of a genius zone. That magic that happens, we often stumble and miss it altogether because to us, it does not feel special to have green eyes. I mean, you are the only one noticing today. I might have noticed this morning in the mirror, but it makes no difference to my experience that I have green eyes. Now, if you're looking at me like some green-eyed monster, it might help me to understand that I've got green eyes. But really, our gifts in the world are very apparent to those around us, but often we're blind to them because of that effortlessness. We want them to feel special because they're magical. We see the gifts in those rare talents, or like, think about it. That person's gifted. Oof. You get that hair raising, that suspended awe moment when we listen to music often. Ooh, that person's gifted. That child prodigy, they have no business being able to do what they do, these little tiny beings. Oh, but they're gifted. We're all gifted if we knew what we were looking for, if we were recognizing that to us is going to be plain Jane. There's nothing special about me waking up as me today other than who you are going to see me as in the world, the difference you're going to feel when I come into your presence. This is a completely different way of looking at collaborations, bringing it back around. I am a talker. That collaborations piece of it is when I recognize that I have a very particular gift, and Sandra alluded to it. I'm not going to share what those gifts are because in the discovering is the most exciting part, but my gifts enable me to facilitate incredibly well. And when people step into my space, they feel very encouraged, very held, very fluidly move through the motions. It really just clicks. Now, that doesn't mean that I have the gift of administration and that you're going to get your notifications to get to that meeting on time, because I do not. It does not mean that I'm going to be the most knowledgeable person in the room, because guess what? I'll tell you right now, I am not. But am I going to be the person that has the right thing to say at the right moment, that's going to land on the ears of the person who hears it, that has a complete aha, and in one moment change a person's life, where all the talent and skill and the Harvard blah, blah, blahs wouldn't be able to tap dance in my presence? That's what happens when you're in your gifts. When I know this about me, I don't mess around in the lanes of talent and skills. It's always going to be heavy energy. It's going to always require effort and work. And when push comes to shove at the end of a day where I've only applied skills and talents, I'm still going to be tired like every other human being.
Okay,
On the days, I'll
go
finish
ahead.
the sentence, on
Yep.
the days where I step into my gifts and into that fluid energy, I'm energized, I'm excited. And I've left the room and that seat beside me that I didn't pretend to have everything going for the person who truly has that gift to step in and sit in. And that type of collaboration synergizes better results than any effort will ever produce.
Love it. Love it. I want to bring this into, like, there's a lot of information that everybody just received there. There's a lot of information and very powerful information. If I was to hone it in on something very simple, what I would come back to is something that I may or may not have said in other calls. I know for sure I haven't said it in this call. I know I've said it in other calls. Recognize the powerful things that people are saying about you, because that's what Christina's talking about right there, right?
Absolutely. The tall tale signs of you being in your gifts are going to, we could use the word free. It's something that you actually get introduced to in the workshop that I've gifted all of you in, it's in the chat there if you want to join me. I've actually added a few more dates that you can come to this workshop for free. And attached to that workshop at the end of it is an invitation into a deeper dive. And that comes at a huge discount as well as part of that extended gift. So I do encourage you, if you're at all curious, to dip in. Um, but I'm going to pull a little piece out, and that is the word free. Our gifts give us a tremendous amount of freedom, permission just to be us in the world. We are already enough. We do not need something external of us, to us, from us, to actually qualify the value we have in the world. And when brokenness, because us humans are not broken, there's nothing broken about any of us. The fact that we look for it is maybe the only thing broken. And the fact that we will never find it, let me just tell you why, because we're not broken. When we sit into what we actually are, is incredibly powerful, gifted, in the makeup of who we are. I don't have to try to be gifted today. I am gifted today. Sandra is gifted today. Alan Tutt is gifted today. You're going to hear from him next. You're going to be blessed by his gifts. This is a beautiful opportunity when we step in and just hold our own lane. There's room for all of us at the table. When we don't do this, we take the freedom from others and we give up our own. Because let me tell you, when I try to take someone else's seat at the table, it is hard effort that I have to put in, and their dreams aren't even really mine. So it's like putting on clothing that doesn't quite fit right. Doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't quite look the same. When we sit in someone else's seat, it just never feels right. Taking our seat. So that freedom. F, we're looking for that feedback. People will tell you they feel amazing in your presence. Oh, I can't believe you said that. I had an aha moment. It could be subtle little things like some people have very blunt gifts, and when they speak, the whole room stops. That is feedback. Feedback looks like a lot of different things. You want to be paying attention when people in your presence, and the best part of the feedback is when your response is, that's not a thing. No. I didn't learn that. Like, that's not special. If you're in response saying it's not special, it's probably a gift because to you, it won't feel special. The R is that you're going to find repeated patterns in your life, no matter what you do. Like I've shared, like my career path might look like a lot of horses going in a lot of different directions. But what I can tell you is every single one of those positions that I ever took, I was doing the exact same thing in essence. Ooh, in essence, I was in my gifts. I was promoted unexpectedly, always into these leadership positions. Why? Not because I was trained, not because I had skills, because I had a gift that was undeniable and I couldn't help myself. Whether I wanted to be invited or not into those roles, I was a naturally invited person. So repeat patterns, the R of free. The next E, it's going to energize you. Oh my goodness, our gifts energize us. They are a source of energy. They're never, ever anything else other than a source of energy. So look at the highlighted moments in your life. What are you doing? In a really great way, like a fantastic measure, because all gifts will cause this effect or have this effect. You lose track of time. You just do. You'll look and go, it's 10 a.m. And then you'll just get chit-chatty. And when you think a half hour's gone by, you'll look and 4 hours have gone by. And you're like, what happened? It could be that you get lost in an activity, mindlessly doing something, but it doesn't deplete your energy. Next, the last E, energizes, and it's effortless. Effortless for you. You don't need any pre-knowledge. You didn't need any pre-knowledge of how to do it. You just do. You sometimes wonder why, like, doesn't everybody know how to do this? Because it's so innate to you. You can often feel like frustrated by people who don't have your gift until you realize it is a gift. Free is a great way to do the measure of whether you're in that energy flow state or not. And, we can all sit back on our human experience and go, ooh, we do a lot of planning, a lot of dreaming, and we do a lot of idealisms. Like, ideally, it'll all go well. So if I put a goal together, a dream together, I'm going to tell you how I want to feel great. I'm going to tell you all the amazing things that are going to happen. They're going to be detailed. But what I often will forget, or what I'll see humans do, is not say it's going to be hard work. It's going to require some sweat and tears. And when their humanness shows up, they're often surprised that they were going to actually, we have this full spectrum of emotion available. You heard Suzanne Bloom speak to this beautifully. This full spectrum of emotion available to us, all the thoughts in the world available to us, and yet we still pull out just a handful, a couple thoughts, and we often don't sit and go, the quality of these are good. The quality of this thought right now, ooh, good quality. We default into that human nature and accidentally we beat ourselves up over it versus, if I said, did you wake up today? Did you think you'd have an afternoon leg or sleepy time? Did you plan on that? Did you plan on being frustrated today? Or did you plan on being behind? Was it your intention to feel hunger today? Most of us say no, but yet it's part of our human experience. When we recognize that our gifts put us into effortless energy, put us in this flow state where it just keeps building, where most things and most people are exhausted when we're in our gifts, we like the call's going to go down and I'm going to keep energetically going because it's giving me energy to be present in my gift. Uh, that freedom that comes with that energy, it allows us to step out of a lot of human conditions that aren't great and into the presence of a gift because it feels that way, not only to be in our gifts, but it feels that way to be in the presence of someone who has a gift. And so when you start putting this type of collaboration together, you really bring people who are, whether it's that they're discerning or they're learning or they really know where to show up and where to say, hey, a gifted person could take this. It's always going to look like effort. It's always going to look like work. It's always going to look like a hot human mess, no matter how much effort I put towards it. But in my gifts, effortless.
I want to speak to this. I want to give a living example. So feedback, repeated patterns, energizes, and effortless. So without revealing one of the gifts, uh, I was leaning into this very specific gift. And as I heard I'm in Christina's stuff, I chose to take her first class and to step into this because I saw the potential of how it would help me to streamline my moving forward with the inner dragon stuff. With that in mind, I've had the pineal chakra activation on my plate now for 7, 8 years. And this is something that ideally I wanted to do on a monthly basis. I was doing it. At the feedback I got was phenomenal feedback. The people were just amazed at this. Okay. So you hear I have two kind of conflicting things happening there. Also, too, I had this incredible vision, and I still do have an incredible vision of the pineal chakra. The vision of that is I see the potential of what it can be for a very specific group of people, and I wanted to take it there. I personally had no idea how to get there. It was not effortless, and it still isn't effortless for me. In creating the boot camp and finding the 49 stories, as I verbalize this, as I'm channeling the information out, I literally say, I have this vision of the pineal chakra. This is what I want to do with it. If somebody wants to do that, they can. And I was like, whoa, I can't believe I just said that. Am I ready to let go of that and let somebody else do that? Like it was one of those that was that effortless moment where I recognized that I didn't have to be the one. And it's in alignment with that gift heading as well. So it's so powerful. So powerful.
You're
Thank you for
talking
letting me share that.
about something incredibly revealing. A lot of us are business owners or have big dreams, projects we're putting out into the world. And because we birthed these projects and concepts, we believe that we have to be the be all, do all, end all, hold the dream, be the dream, give the dream, like all of it. The truth is our dreams come from our entire beings. That's my humanness included. That is my gifted self included. And as I put this dream out into the world, it's going to require a tremendous amount of gifted people to put it forward, not just mine. I have a slice of my dream that I'm going to do in a very gifted way. Now, I could try with a lot of effort and a lot of, the grind of entrepreneurship and all these, you can hear like bromance in that and like this a bit of a harder energy about, we're going to celebrate the hard work. Um, I'm not into the hard work. I will be honest. I was not born lazy, but I'm into the good feels. I'm into the joy, the bliss, the excitement, the relishing like it's Christmas morning because I've got gifts to give the world. I'm into that. I'm into people getting together and celebrating and lifting people up. And my experience was turning into something other than that. Um, Part of having this beautiful big dream to put out into the world is similar to saying, if I were to assign a role to every thing my business needs to really come together to be a beautiful offer to the world, I could do it like seats at a table. And of those seats at the table, I can take maybe two or three because I have two, three gifts. Oh, by the way, everybody has several of them, just to let you know, we're not looking for one, we're looking for several. And because I have several, I might be able to fill several roles in my company or in my big dream. But what I really need are people with the gifts of the things I really don't do well. And there's nothing more pleasurable than saying, hey, I don't do this well. Can somebody pick it up and not actually have to do it? Like, think of all the things that you feel you have to do right now. There's a gifted person out there who will do it effortlessly with incredible energy. They're going to delight because they're gifted. And meanwhile, you're trying to pull it off with harsh energy when you could be gifting the world in positive, fabulous energy, doing something you really love, something that's meaningful to you. There's room for all of us to be in our gifts and feeling really good about it if we were willing to just knowledgeably say, this is what I'm really good at. I would like to do this part because I know I'm gifted at it. What I also know is that I'm not gifted at all things. No shame, no foul. I think so many times our dreams don't get out to the world because we're just not willing to admit how the ask feels. When we ask for help, as just everyday human beings, flesh and blood, we think it means that we're less than, that we don't know, therefore we are less. Well, we were all born, by the way. And by the way, nobody came out with clothes on. We all had the same disposition, and we all had to start now what we were given in that moment of understanding and comprehension. That starts shuffling around, which means that we all have a diverse experience to lend and help others into a more enriched, fulfilled experience of life. And if we could do that through our gifted selves rather than our haphazard human messy selves, uh, that's a beautiful thing to be rolling out our dreams. Sandra, your dreams are going to go so much further because you're willing to say, hey, I'm not so gifted at this, but if a gifted person wants to pick it up, my goodness, that servant's heart that is behind all that you do. Like, I know that I said at the top of this that, it's such a privilege to come in where hearts are here to serve and whatever comes of it, wonderful. But you know what's really going to come of it is humanity being served. And when we recognize that I could do a lot of things for humanity today, let me tell you, it's not going to be certain things I do really horribly. Like, I'm not going to go sit on the corner and sing today for humanity. That's not happening. That's not going to be my best foot forward, folks. Nor is offering to do administrative tasks for an organization or company. Ooh, you are not going to get the best of me today. But hey, if you want me to get on my little soapbox and tell people they are gifted all day long, ooh, I will sing. I will sing like a canary and tell the world. Why? Because I will be effective doing that today, more so than anything else I could possibly do today.
Love that. Love that. I would love to open the floor. If anybody has any questions, please raise your hand with the react down at the bottom. Raise your hand if you have any questions. Uh, I'm just feeling the power of what you're saying, and um, I can say with some certainty that I truly believe that I would not be where I am today if not for your guidance through some of the hard moments that I've had, because I thought I had to do it all, that I had to figure out all of it. And yeah, it's just been a real pleasure to recognize and have somebody recognize the pieces in me. Yeah, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Hemming and hawing I see happening up there. Go ahead. There's always room for a question. There's no silly questions ever.
Well, the main thing I'm thinking right now is that I don't really have a question. I have a number of comments because I absolutely love what you were talking about. Um, the thing about the past being a hot mess, going from one thing to another to another to another to another, that resonates with me so much because I've done the exact same thing in my life. And the way I kind of express it to some people is it was only a couple years ago that I finally figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up. And but the other side of that is I've found that because I've been in so many different situations, and I'm sure you've had the exact same experience because you've been in so many different situations, each one taught you something different. And all of that information and insight comes together to fill out all facets of the diamond in a way that if someone just followed one single pathway their entire life, they couldn't see it the way you do. And so that adds to your gift, being able to see things from multiple perspectives. Um, yeah, I don't really have a question so much, but I completely want to say that I truly resonate with what you're saying. And there are definitely elements to how you are presenting yourself that I am still working on for myself. So there are there are things here that um, I'm learning from you on multiple levels. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, thank you so much, Alan. And what you're recognizing in your sharing of what you're experiencing through me, my ability to actually articulate is actually me and my gifts. And while many of us have had that experience, it's a gift that's allowing me to share it with you. Here's a really fun little playful, it's a bit of a parlor, one of those fun parlor tricks of gifts. There's a gift that is a very social gift. And um, it's one that I have, and which means that basically I show up in a room and people flock to me like moths to a flame. And I don't have to do anything. I don't have to say anything. This gift is just, it's like an energetic, Sandra alluded to it, like people end up in my presence and they just feel really, really good. It's a beautiful gift. I'm an introvert. Oh, this is an awkward gift to have when you are not really. I don't have any particular desires to be around big crowds of people or our gifts sometimes the fact that they can be in contrast to our own personality sometimes will have us really recognize the gifts of others and sometimes our gifts whether we've known them to be gifts or not we can often stumble over them and throw them in the pile with our skills and talents and because of that they don't get the enough limelight to really demonstrate for you as an experience that it's an elevated one like some things are worked for and some things are just gifted. Sometimes you need enough exposure to recognize that I always have answers where I maybe shouldn't. Or, oh, I always am able to just be thrown on the spot and do something effortlessly. And I no longer need the anxiety of thinking I need a talent or skill. I just do this effortlessly. Um, Being able to recognize in others sometimes the gifts that you have yourself. Alan, I'm going to say that if that's what you're seeing and that's how you felt, you probably have a very similar gift. Or because there's 24 gifts, they fall into 7 different categories. And in a category, there's, for example, there's organizational gifts. Well, there's 4 different gifts in organizational gifts. As society, we celebrate organization as a singular thing and maybe don't deconstruct it into various pieces that you could be brilliantly gifted in. What I'm also potentially hearing with you, Alan, is that you might have a grouping of a concept of what would be the criteria to be gifted or call myself gifted in this. And what you might have is a slice of one of those categories missing. For example, I have 3 of the 4 organizational gifts. This is interesting. What's so interesting to me about this is I would have dismissed ever having any gifts in an organization because the one that I am missing is so blatantly in my face as something I cannot do, I am not gifted at, that I discredit how incredible I am at the others. And this is without giving anything away because the discernment is truly the gifted part of the experience more so than someone telling you. but I have the ability to see really, really, really big, complex pictures long before anybody else sees them, be able to articulate that right down to finite details and like into the minutia, why you would put it together and how it's all threaded and the strategy, all of it. The gift I do not have is bringing that into fruition. I do not have the do gift. I have the seeing. I have an absolute insane ability, a gifted ability to do that. And what I absolutely don't, and my energy, like you can watch me go, it's amazing. Here's the vision. Here's the details. And then someone says, okay, what do I do with that? I'm like, yeah, that's somebody else. You're going to need another gift. My energy goes so human, so fast. Like so fast. It's like, yeah, you got Christina. You are that channeled amazing woman that has that gift is that's not my gift. You need another person. So sometimes we can look for our evidence, that feeling of freedom, that free. We can look for those things, but we can also just give ourselves permission to go, ooh, if I'm thinking I'm missing something, it might be just another gifted person, and I've already lost track of looking at me and looking at what my gifts are because they are not any less flashy. You just need to know which ones are yours. Thank you, Alan, for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Ellen. In your, how do I want to word this? In your choosing to put to voice your thoughts versus a question, you empowered Christina to share more about the whole piece, which was so important for all of us to hear. So thank you very much, Alan, for those thoughts. Christina, any last comments that you'd like to leave us with? That was extremely powerful.
In the process, if you so choose to join me, and I really hope you do, it is a free offer. It is 19 minutes. Actually, I believe I've just increased it to 2 hours because it is really crammed in there. And I want to make sure there's that spaciousness for you. Take advantage of this. And I'm talking business. Sandra's community in many ways is business community. Knowing your gifts and knowing how you contribute yourself to whether it be your family unit, an organization, your church community, your ladies groups, men's groups, whatever it is that you're part of, knowing how to contribute in a gifted way. And also not just recognizing your gifts, but when you have the ability to recognize the gifts of others and you call them into standing in all that they are. And because you know in advance that they're going to feel energized, it's going to be effortless. They are going to feel like they made a difference. And if we all just sat with that for a moment, who doesn't want to make a difference? I want to tell you, you are gifted. Gifted in many, many, many ways, not just one. Oh my goodness, you have multiple ways. If you come and learn what these gifts are, they'll be much clearer to you. If you've never learned what they are active in you. But knowing what they are and how to wield that, and maybe how to put yourself into that alignment so that you feel on purpose on a regular basis with your gifts and getting that out into the world, that feel on purpose is probably the biggest gift I could give you and ask you to do. Feel on purpose in the world and whatever you so choose to do, make sure that you have that flow of energy and that it feels effortless. You don't have to be in the yuck of the human experience.
Oh my God.
Prisoner to it. Yeah.
You've literally proven one of the points of this whole summit. You've said the word feel, you said the word aligned, like purpose, like all of these words are words that have come up with every guest speaker. Okay. I also want to share with you right now, Christina, and anybody who's listening. This is the second time that you have alluded to my community being business kind of people. And I do this cringe thing inside every time you do that. And then you gave me permission with something else you said to accept it at a different level. And I want to just explain that a little bit further. Yes, I have been moving towards recognizing the people that I want to reach. And that, yes, many of them are going to be the type of people who are stepping into businesses. It's really recognizing, though, that it's finding yourself so that you can be you. That's what I'm in the business for. And that's when I talk about business, even the people that like when I say I'm shifting into business people, it's like I want to work with the business people who want their life to be their passion project and that's their business. So I'm finding I'm giving it way more acceptance now. And I appreciate that you keep bringing that up and going, at me with it.
Well, I love how you said that because I haven't thought of saying it like that before, but I would say that business is a stand-in and it's a really easy go-to because business people have basically decided I've got a dream and I'm in. They've
Yeah.
already made the decision. They've already said yes. It's just such an easy go-to to recognize like of people out there who have declared themselves committed. A business owner typically is that person, entrepreneur typically is that person. But the truth is, we can, like Alan Tutt has put so beautifully in the chat, we're all in the business of living. And feeling on purpose and really living a life. Like when we think of how many hours we put into, and I don't care if you're not a business owner, you're working somewhere. You are committing your time and energy. And so many of us put our emotional, like, oh no, I got to go to work today. Take off that emotional coat, leave it on the door, take the personality coat off, leave it at the door, put on the persona, the role, the title, the skills, the talents. Oh, and I went here and I did this and I did that, and we go out with these huge personas, and what do? We suffocate because we've buried the essence of who we are inside. Versus, no personas today, no nothing. You're getting the raw, authentic me, emotional, all the things, human, gifted, and I'm going to be better than anything else I could have put on in persona. Me hearing you say that you want to work with, and I've heard you say that, that expansion that you're talking about into working with more people in business, all I hear is people that have said yes to themselves in a bigger expression of themselves. And there are few, yourself, myself, and Ellen Tutt, and Jenny, Sandra Bloom, who are saying, and do it authentically. You can do business all you want. You can go be whoever you want. But hey, could you just take a moment, get centered in, know who you are at the core, know how you are gifted, know how to orchestrate that and tap into that, know who that dragon is, know where that power comes from. That is the gift that this gift giveaway has given. And I love, love, love to be a witness of all of that, especially in all that you are becoming, because it's already who you are. It's such a revealing. I love it, Sandra.
I love that. Thank you. And it's Suzanne Bloom. You said Sandra Bloom.
Did I? Oh, Suzanne, you can
Really?
light of mouth. In the hype of everything coming in at once.
You're on a roll, girl. Again, thank you, thank you, thank you, Christina. I cherish you, and I like Suzanne. I am so looking forward to being on the island, and it might happen sooner rather than later. So yeah, thank you for being here and sharing yourself.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.